Rest of our fans, all set? Okay.
So we'll talk about this.
All right, we will call our school meeting to order for Tuesday, September 8th, 2015. Starting out reading the mission statement. Norfolk Public Schools offers a safe, joyful, and challenging learning environment that meets the needs of our diverse students. Through school, family, and community partnerships, we provide an education that inspires lifelong learners and cultivates caring and productive citizens of our ever-changing world. Roll call.
Jeff Curry.
Paul Cochran.
Mark Flaherty.
Thomas Doyle.
Ingrid O'Lardy.
Public comments. Based on the lack of public, we'll just move on. To correspondence. Also appears empty. So we've not received any correspondence. Quickly moving on to my portion of the evening, which is the superintendent evaluation. So we have to, on a yearly basis, correct? And Paul, this is more for your benefit because the three of us are already here, but complete Ingrid's evaluation. It is also a public document that we've worked on. So before I get going, the actual document itself is being finalized. Probably give it 2 weeks by the time it's on file, so if anyone in the public wishes to go see it, they're more than welcome to. But there is, bear with me a second, I put on my old people glasses. There's an overall rating, and then there's also 4 categories that determine the overall rating. So the 4 categories were instructional leadership, management and operations, family and community engagement, and professional culture. And then once you get all those, then you derive the final rating and everything like that. The form itself is bizarre, to say the least. Actually, we're going to kick it up. Well, basically, you have to complete page 5 to then do part of page 1, and then page 3 completes the other half of page 1. I'm not kidding you. That's literally how it went.
Yeah. The form we adopted was the model form from the Department
Yeah,
of Education, but we
it's-
had some discussions about modifying it.
We're going to make that a little more user-friendly going forward. So the reason I also mentioned that is that the ratings themselves, you basically have a choice of a few different rating where you can score. It's either unsatisfactory, needs improvement, proficient, and exemplary. Now, sort of the way we kind of jointly talked about this, exemplary to me essentially means you really can't do any better in that particular category. I'm going to lean this way. Whereas I don't see anything wrong with proficient. Proficient saying you're very good in something, you could potentially have some additional growth within that category, if that makes sense. So we kind of got boxed into what we can do with stuff. So without further ado, and then I think I've done enough dramatic build up to this, so we came to the conclusion, the committee did, that was working on this, that the overall rating is the exemplary rating. And then 3 of the 4 categories, which would be the instructional leadership, management operations, and professional culture, also fell within that. And the reason I explained it in the prior portion is we arrived at family and communication engagement as proficient, just because I continue to see that as something we can always get better at and always keep working at. So this isn't a knock, certainly, against the district. It's just something that I think we're infinitely better than what we were, but I still think there's stuff we can continue. I mean, this isn't a surprise. I mean, I've had these discussions with Ingrid. I'm a little obsessive about this. That was just sort of what we're thinking. There's always ways we can look to fine-tune it, make sure the information is more easily accessible to be, or available to people, whatever the case is. But the actual individual comments on the particular sections, I said that will come out in a couple weeks for the actual prepared document, but that's sort of the brief overview of the whole thing. So I don't know if you, so the 3 of us have kind of worked on it, but if you have any specific questions from that, you're more than welcome to shout them out.
No questions right now.
Very good, thank you.
I think that would be really helpful for me, as in one of the upcoming meetings, I'll be bringing forward my professional goals for the upcoming school year, so I can use that to shape the goals. And I think that's an area that we do want to continue to work on. We do a lot of Connect Ed messages and newsletters, but finding ways to promote more two-way communication where parents feel they can come forward and get issues, that's something that I think is a good goal an area to work on.
Yeah, as I said, I didn't want it to be read as, oh, this isn't something that's being done
No.
well, because it is being done well.
But there's
It's just-
always ways to improve, and
there's
that's.
always ways to fine-tune
We've
it.
tried things with the Parent Leaders Committee, but we're not getting the audience, so we need to relook at what
Right.
are better ways to do that, that'll work for working families and parents, and so I think that's a good goal focus.
So, that's where we stand with that. So I said that document, give us a few weeks, that will be, the final copy will be available for whoever wishes to see it, because it's obviously a public document. And the second portion of my part of the evening is the Holmes Bus Company performance bond. As you remember from last meeting, we had agreed to table that for 30 days while we got some additional information. We have a lot of additional information. Separate to that, Ingrid, Todd, and myself met with Mr. Holmes, both Holmes, 2 weeks ago.
About
Something
2
like
weeks
that,
ago.
and they answered some additional questions for us. So from my perspective, I feel a lot better about knowing where we were, or where we are, and what our concerns are, and everything like that. So I think we can make a lot more educated decision now as opposed to where we were a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I can update the committee on the information you asked me to collect. You had asked me what other towns Holmes has contracts with, so I have that. It's King Philip, Plainville Elementary Schools, Franklin Public Schools, Medway Public Schools, Rentham Public Schools, Tri-County Regional School, North Attleboro Public Schools, Norfolk County Agricultural High School, and Holliston Public Schools. You had asked which of those districts have waived the performance bond requirement, and all of the contracts listed have waived and agreed to waive the performance bond. The committee asked for 3-year financial statements, which Brian Holmes did provide to the district and have been reviewed by our business manager, who I think has also consulted with you, Paul, to give an update on that. And the committee also asked me how we would make that adjustment to the contract, because it wasn't in the bid specs. So what we would need to do, if you agree to waive the performance bond, would be to draft a written agreement as an amendment to the contract. And we would both sign that. Holmes would need to sign, we would need to sign. And what we had in the past was an agreement that if the performance bond was waived, Holmes would waive the fuel escalation charges. So I don't know if you're considering the performance bond waiver tonight, if that would be something you'd want to consider in return for waiving the bond. And that would be written into an agreement. And that was all the additional information that I was asked to bring forward. I don't know if there's questions.
Can you
And-
expand on the questions that were answered during the meeting?
It was a lot of kind of what Ingrid has just gone over, as far as we got a more detailed financial picture. The district, the other districts, or what the other districts are doing, having that answered made a big difference, as far as I was concerned.
Holmes also brought some information on other things that they have done for the district. They, per the bus contract, they are able to charge us more for field trip runs than they have. They have discounted that. I have the document that they brought to share in terms of the difference in costs. They do not charge us the full rate that they are allowed to under the contract. So we have I would say roughly a 40% discount from what they're able to charge, which does save the district a couple $1,000s each year. So I have that, and I can certainly share that out. So that was some additional information that we discussed.
So then over the course of a 3-year contract, we're talking 5,000 to 6,000 if we round it up?
Yeah, in terms of field trips. And they also do other things for us at no cost. So when we have the bullying program and the shared lessons between the 5th and the 2nd grade, they provide buses, and they don't charge us for that. They don't charge us for the buses for move-up day for the 2nd graders to come up here. So there's a lot of other benefits that they provide. We did have some additional financial information that was shared regarding the titles for the buses and the equipment. Without getting into details in the public meeting, I think that was information that was discussed in reviewing the financial records.
Thank you.
So I guess we do, if we want to put a motion forward to waive the bond, and then we'll discuss it further from there if we wish.
I make a motion that we waive the bond.
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion?
I like I figure if we do that, we can add in the part about the fuel
waiver?
escalation price.
Yes.
Worst case scenario, they say they can't do it this year. but,
That was the original request that they made even this year.
Oh, that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
They would be,
yeah.
willing to waive the
they would
fuel
want to waive that. I
escalation.
mean, if we're sort of sticking with the traditional formula we've always taken with them, then I think the expectation is that would go along with it. I don't think that's,
absolutely.
and they gave no reason to think
Indicate
any other way, so I think that would go along with it.
I'm all for it.
Any other further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes.
I will contact Holmes tomorrow and let them know. All right, I have a number of things under my report. The first item in your packet is just a list of background on new hires. So as I mentioned at our last meeting, we did hire a new assistant principal for the Freeman Kennedy. This just gives you some background. She comes to us with over 15 years teaching experience in public and private schools, and she does have a doctorate in education and curriculum teaching and leadership from Northeastern, and that's Dr. Jennifer Kelly. We have hired a new special education teacher for the Freeman Kennedy. That's Caitlin Fox. There's some additional information about her in there. She has a bachelor's in elementary and special education. She's got experience as a special educator in Vermont and Rhode Island. And she did run an evening program in Rhode Island for students with difficulty in the regular education setting that she was awarded a congressional award for her dedication to the program. We have Catherine Bolton, a new speech-language pathologist at Freeman Kennedy. She comes from Arizona. She has a bachelor's degree in rehab services from Springfield College and a master's from Southern Connecticut University in communication disorders. She has 14 years' experience in the Arizona school system as a speech-language therapist and has worked with many diverse populations across different age groups. Kylie Day is a new kindergarten teacher at the H. Olive Day. She's a Norfolk School alumni who joins us as a kindergarten teacher. She has a Bachelor's of Arts in Human Development and Family Studies from University of Rhode Island and postbaccalaureate work in education. She has been an instructional assistant and a long-term substitute in the Walpole schools, and she's well-versed in research-based reading and math programs. Her prior experience was in a mental health setting in private hospitals. And then we have Kelly Krause, who is appointed as another kindergarten teacher at the H. Olive Day. She is a former teacher returning to us. She's been a permanent full-time sub. She has also last year worked under the Title I program as a paraprofessional. She's been a daily substitute. She does have a master's in education from Lesley College and specialized in early childhood education. So we're welcoming Kelly back, just in a different role this year. We have several staff members shifting roles. So Tracy Trombert is moving from grade 3 to 4. We have Michelle Johnson returning after a leave of absence to grade 3. Deirdre Ferrara is moving from grade 1 to grade 2. Paula Burns was a paraprofessional in the preschool, and she is now the school secretary at the H. Olive Day. Gretchen Sullivan is moving from a preschool paraprofessional to the Title I math assistant. Susan Key is moving from the H. Olive Day school secretary to the administrative assistant to the principal. Marianne Hart has been a substitute for the district, and she's now been hired as a permanent kindergarten assistant. We have Kathy Odsby, who is also a substitute in the district, who will be hired as an assistant in Alicia Whitehead's preschool program. Diane Cullen, also a substitute, has been hired as a paraprofessional in Jackie Buckner's program, which is our therapeutic program. We have Linda Glebus, who was an assistant in our preschool prior, who was up to Freeman Kennedy this year, who's moving back to the preschool. And Sandy Bliss is an assistant from the preschool who is moving up to work in the grade 4 program. We have 4 new hires for instructional support. Jobine Anderson is joining us in our therapeutic program. She also has quite a bit of paraprofessional experience in behavioral programs. Julie Cochran is a new assistant in the preschool program. Rebecca Penquay is an ABA instructional assistant who is replacing one of our assistants who took a teaching position. And Angela Parkinson is a former instructional assistant here who was rehired as a kindergarten assistant in Sharon Griffin's classroom. At the bottom, just some information about retirements and resignations. As you know, Kelly Whitmore took a principalship in Hudson. Deb Grout, Hope Glassman, Linda Robbins, Barbara Steiner, all retired last year. And then we had 3 paraprofessionals who have left, Cassie Ogden, Erin Brousseau, and Melissa Harrigan. Any questions on the staff update?
What's a loyal substitute?
Somebody that we use regularly.
Okay.
Opening of schools report would be next. Overall, I think, as indicated in your packet, we had a smooth opening of school the first day, and then obviously
How Thursday work out for you?
things changed after the packet went out. But the opening of schools, the first day really did go very smoothly. The buses were on schedule. We had students arriving on time. We did have one bus that broke down on the first day on Mirror Lake. Holmes sent another bus out right away. We moved the kids were moved to the new bus, and most of the kids arrived at school right on time. The students going to H. Olive Day were on time. Students coming to Freeman Kennedy were a couple of minutes behind. But we did send notice to all the parents that were on that bus through a ConnectEd message, so they'd be aware. We had additional staff members available at both schools to help kids find their classrooms. The new kindergarten students visited the H. Olive Day classrooms with their parents that day, and then we had half of the kindergarten kids come on on Wednesday and half on Thursday. So today was the first day the full class was all together at H. Olive Day. As far as the facilities, if you were at H. Olive Day about a week and a half ago, it would have been a miracle knowing that it would open. But the contractor that handled the roof project really was right on time. We had an outside cleaning company that came in. The roof work is really basically all complete. There are a few projects that they need to finish up, but none of them have a safety impact for students. They need to come in and blow some additional insulation in over the roof spaces, but they wanted to do that when the weather cooled down and they can have the guys up in the attic and it's not 110 degrees. So they'll be coming back nights and weekends in September to finish that project. There are a few minor roof truss repairs in the attic crawl spaces and the service quarters that they need to fix, but none impact the structural integrity. And so they will be finishing those up. We expect all the work to be complete by the end of September. The additional security doors were installed at H. Olive Day. They are operational, so the glass that was, when you come into the main corridor, there's a new door that was cut for entrance that requires all visitors to go in through the office, get a visitor's badge. And then there's another set of doors. All the glass in those have been replaced with safety glass so that you can't just break through that glass. Those are locked all the time. The secretaries will buzz people into the office and then admit entrance into the building. So those are all up and functional. At the Freeman Kennedy, we still have a noise mitigation project going on. There is a sound wall that is going to be installed around some of the rooftop equipment that's up over the gym. All of the steel work in the sound panels have been delivered. They are all in sight. We were expecting Merrimack to have workers here to get that project finished this week, but they were not able to get a crane operator on the long weekend, and we need a crane on site to lift that steel. So now they have told us that it will be complete by next Saturday. I have expressed our frustration to Merrimack directly and as well to the architect with the numerous delays that we've had with this project. And they have assured us that it will be complete by Saturday. So
That's Saturday, a few days from now, or the following Saturday?
this weekend. Yeah. As far as staffing, all of our teaching positions and instructional support positions are filled at this time. We do have food service that was doing some final interviews. They were looking for one more cafeteria aide to help with food preparation. And the SAC program, it was still looking for a few after-school high school workers to assist with the program. We're all set as far as our staffing student ratios. They're just looking for some additional support and help, and they were finishing interviews. So we're in good shape, and it was a successful opening. Obviously, after the opening of school, there was some events that took place in Millis, and the community, I updated the community as to our action plan and safety and security procedures. And as we all know now, the incident turned out there was no outside threat, so that's been resolved. But anytime there is an issue like that, we communicate regularly with the police. We take our direction as to if we need to go into lockdown or anything like that. That's all under consultation with the Norfolk Police, and we have regular ongoing communication with that. So we do, and after any event, we always sit down and debrief with the police to make sure everything was handled the way it should be. So I think our response to the situation was, we had good, clear direction. We followed the protocols, and we did did tighten up security the second day. We decided partway through the day not to have kids going out to recess, not because there was any risk. I consulted with the police first thing in the morning. They said the area was secure, there was no risk. But we had a lot of kids, especially at the upper middle school, that were talking about it and that were anxious about it. And we just felt like they didn't need that added stress on the second day of school. So we chose to keep things quiet here. Any questions or anything about the opening of school?
No, I think overall that was handled very well. Feedback I got from various members of the community, everybody was very happy with that, the level of communication. I'm glad you said the piece that it's sort of coordinated with the police, determining this isn't us just on our own to say, oh, no, it's fine for the kids. No, this is,
Right.
public
We
safety
always get-
officers have determined this.
Yeah.
And the debriefing portion after is good, so whatever we can learn from it, if
Right.
anything, but still, it's,
Yeah.
that level of response is very much appreciated as far, and also with the level of communication that went out. I think everybody was very happy with that, so I don't know if anyone else say anything further.
Well done.
There's also an update for you. I have to give you at the beginning of the year an update on the facilities, so you just have a statement. I don't have my glasses and the print is really small, but it's just an update on the income that was taken in from facilities rental. BICO, we did rent a space to BICO last year for the entire year. It was a classroom. We brought in $11,587.52 from that. Norfolk Cable also was renting the studio space here at the Freeman Kennedy, and that was a total of $14,000 for the year. And then the remaining building use, and that's for, Girl Scouts, it was for CYO basketball, KP basketball, all of those other events totaled $5,306.25. Or it might be 806, $5,806.25.
Yes.
I might need glasses to read.
Sorry, the print's really small. So
now
that was the
so
use
with
of
the
facilities.
Cable not here anymore, where were they on here?
They were $14,000. And
a
we do
pretty-
not have BICO as well this year.
Okay.
We discussed that, in the
Right.
spring with the committee, because Cable wasn't using the studio space and wanted to move everything to Main Street. So that space is currently being used by SAC and by the
Right.
Norfolk Rec Department, so.
Okay. Now, with SAC having extra space, were they able to take on extra kids?
That was the goal, and it's also
it's
to
gonna somewhat offset
be
it,
able to
right?
split the grade levels and have
Right.
more appropriate space for them.
Okay.
So that worked out really well.
Any update on the Norfolk Medfield Pop Warner, because it says second notice, I'm guessing that hasn't been paid yet.
As of the date of this report, they were just received a second invoice, so I'm sure that will be resolved. Okay. All right. We're out of order here. So the next item is just an informational item for you. At our last meeting, when I did the strategic plan update, I talked a little bit about the efforts that we've made around expanding professional development programming for the district. So we have a couple of things. We have implemented a new online registration tool that's called Smart PD that allows teachers to register for courses. It tracks all the professional development that they take, but it also gives them access to courses that are being offered in the area through any of the regional collaboratives. So we've got that up and running. But we also developed a professional development committee. We did surveys last year of all of our staff members and what they were looking for and what they needed to support them in their instructional programs. We partnershipped with Rentham and Plainville to be able to offer some graduate courses to meet some of those needs. And then the Professional Development Committee worked looking at the strategic plan as well as the new initiatives and the feedback from surveys to develop a year-long professional development program for staff. So I just gave you a copy so that you could see what kinds of things that we've been offering. I think it's probably the most comprehensive program that we've had in a number of years. So I would congratulate the committee for their hard work at being able to offer teachers what I would call differentiated choices, recognizing that everybody has different needs and different experiences. You'll see on all of our professional development days, we have a number of different workshops offered for teachers to select what best fits their professional practice goals. You'll see also some of the required trainings that we have, like crisis prevention and restraint training, first aid, CPR, all of those are in here. We've responded to the custodial staffs. We're looking for additional training on lockdown and emergency procedures, so we've got the police coming in to do that with them. We have our mental health staff is looking for additional support with grief counseling and managing crisis, so you'll see we have outside people coming in to do that. But I think we're offering a really rich array of courses that support our new literacy initiative and the strategic plan goals of differentiating instruction and supporting kids with behavioral challenges. Those were the primary guiding goals that we looked at for this year. So that's just for your information, and if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
When they come in to do training, you said they're doing some more, looking at having the cops come in to do some more training with the lockdown procedures and stuff. Is it possible for some of us, if we want to be there while they're doing that? So
Yeah, just, you can give me a call. It's in the book, and it tells you the date and time of it. That training, we did comprehensive training for all of our teachers and all of our staff members and all of our substitutes and paraprofessionals, and the custodians attended that. And that was with Synergy Solutions. That was the emergency response training. But the custodians have asked for some additional training that would really look at their unique roles in different kinds of emergency situations. So, for example, if you get a bomb threat called in, the custodians have a role in sweeping the building. So they're looking for specific training that's unique to their roles about what would be required in emergency situations. So I'm happy to accommodate it if you're interested in attending that, but it isn't the broad training that we've already completed. It's really specialized to the facilities department.
I know I have been interested in seeing the broad one next time we do it.
Yep.
I'd like to see this one, 'cause as you remember, I was at the
Yep.
walkthrough too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, you just
I
send me an email,
suggest-
Mark, and I can work that out. The date and times are in there, and I'm sure that it would be fine for you to attend if you're interested. We won't be doing another broad training for another year or so. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on the PD side?
Nope.
All right. Strategic plan. And I gave you a sort of a cover memo to explain that, but we developed a long-range strategic plan a couple of years ago that the committee approved, and we developed it in phases intentionally, knowing that sometimes you finish things in advance and you're ready to move on, and it's not, each item isn't going to necessarily fall according to calendar years. And I think elements of a good strategic plan is that you regularly review it, you update, you make adjustments. For purposes of clarity, when we had our administrative retreat, we looked at where we were. I gave you an update on the strategic initiatives in phase one. We've really completed pretty much all of them. There were a few that were carrying over. But we had also moved on and completed many of the initiatives that were targeted for phase two. So for purposes of clarity, what we suggested and what we discussed was reprioritizing those and making those adjustments, because for the public looking on, it's hard to see, all right, you're in phase two, what's done, what's not. So what we were recommending is that we move the items that were originally slated for phase two that have been complete into phase one, so that when people are looking from the public, they know these are things that are done. We've completed phase one. So in your packet, the first 2 pages are the original strategic plan, and then behind that, you should have a color copy with the changes in blue highlighted. The things that we've added to phase one that were originally slated for phase two that have,
I have no color copy.
you don't have a color copy?
Revised.
Oh, it should have been, I'm sorry, Pam was supposed to copy that in color,
The
but you'll
text is
see there's
slightly
lighter
different.
print.
Yeah, it's
So that
lighter
was what was
text.
in blue, I apologize.
It is?
Lighter
Yes.
print,
Oh, okay,
only a
got it,
few,
got
Put your readers on, Thomas.
sorry.
Oh, that makes a little difference.
So under phase one, we did move forward and begin the review of the ELA curriculum that was originally slated for phase two. We completed the first half of that, which was looking at our reading program. Under professional development, we already provided the content-based support for the new science curriculum, and we also adopted a technology tool, as I've discussed, for tracking the PDPs and the professional development. So those are all complete initiatives that we've moved. Under the assessment category, we've already launched our district-wide data teams and using the benchmark data to inform curriculum and instruction, and we've already identified the common writing assessments and developed common shared rubrics for scoring. So those were things that were originally in phase two that we're recommending moving forward to phase one. In phase two, instead of having the full ELA program review, we only have the second half of it left to do, which is looking at the spelling, handwriting, and phonics programs, and vocabulary and grammar. So that's actually a smaller objective because we moved half of it forward. We also are moving forward We originally had in Phase 3, content-based support to support the implementation of the new reading program. We're moving that forward because we're ready to launch that this year. The other two initiatives under the professional development category that were added to Phase 2 is providing professional development on effective curriculum design and assessment, and that's happening with the curriculum committees that are writing curriculum as we speak. And we also moved from Phase 1 to Phase 2, the developing and strengthening the new teacher induction program. As I mentioned, the Department of Ed just reissued the new guidelines, so we want to focus on that this year. So that was carried over. No other changes to Phase 2. And in Phase 3, we have added a couple of things. In the curriculum category, we did add an item that says begin data collection and analysis for the development of the new 3-year plan. We felt that that was, should be reflected there. And you'll see a few additional things added in the professional development category. We're providing PD for the second phase of the ELA implementation. And then we would like to provide training for staff. It was originally slated for Phase 2 on DDMs and SMART goals, but as you know, the Department of Ed has revised the process, and we haven't reached a negotiated agreement, so we really can't train people until we get that finalized. And we would also like to add professional development in assessment literacy and grading practices, because in Phase 3, we'll also be revising district report cards, and we think those two things have to go together. Any questions on the adjustments? They're really fairly minor. What I was hoping is that the committee would vote to approve the revised plan, and then in October, I'll bring you the detailed action plan for each of the objectives, like you reviewed before.
Good
for
motion on
Phase
that?
2.
So I make a motion that we approve the updated strategic plan.
Second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next are quick informational items. At the committee's request last year, Donna was asked if she would prepare a schedule for warrant signing so you'd be able to plan accordingly. So she's done that. We generally sign 2 warrants a month, and she tried to align one with the school committee dates and then have one schedule the second warrant signings. So she gave you the tentative dates through December, and we thought we'd see how that worked. And then we'll do the calendar for the second half of the year. The only exception, we may have to do a single emergency warrant, I guess not an emergency, we may have to do one off-cycle warrant for the Bourne-Dale trip because we don't have final enrollment yet for that, so we can't issue the purchase order until we have final rates, and that has to be sent right away. So that might be outside the warrant schedule. Okay?
This is very helpful, Tara. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, that's great.
And then the other thing is that annually, Walgreens Pharmacy has offered to do a flu clinic on site for our staff and for family members as a public service. But by the school committee policy, which is attached, the school committee actually has to approve that, to have them come in and do that flu clinic because they're an outside organization.
All right.
I make a motion that we approve the plan.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's all I have.
Nice. Let's see, committee reports. Since other Jeff is not here for King Philip and Tech, we'll skip past that. Mark, you got anything?
I did just get a
will
notice.
not skip past that.
Sorry, just for King Philip, they're doing a ribbon cutting ceremony on September 20th for the new turf
Oh, for the
fields,
field?
and everyone's invited. I'll forward the invitation if anyone's interested in the time.
And Mark, you have anything for policy?
Right now, we're working on a couple of different policies. Actually, we could be working on several of them over the next few months, but nothing to bring forward right now.
Okay. All right. So everybody, we should skip along. We just need to look at the minutes from the last meeting. I didn't see anything flipping through this. I would look fine with that. So we need a motion to accept the minutes.
Make a motion to accept the minutes from September 18th.
Do we have a second?
So moved.
Sorry, that's not the right
It's
date.
August 18th.
August 18th.
Yeah. May want to fix that part, but. All right, so the motion on the floor is, do we have a second for the motion to accept the meeting minutes from August 18th? Do we have a second?
Yep, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll
And
have
then,
it change.
sorry?
I'll have him change the date.
Okay, and then we have
Well, the
Meeting-
date on here is right.
scheduled,
Oh,
No,
here.
minutes.
September.
that's,
Oh,
they
that
wrote down September 18th. Meeting on October 13th, does anyone have an issue with that? Jeff, Carr, you thought you might?
Yeah, I cannot make that one.
Okay. Does that work for everyone else?
I don't have a problem.
Let me just double
That is
check.
the day following Columbus Day.
Correct.
Also
We're
no
all about
school.
meetings after
Council
holidays.
Rich.
Also no school
On Monday, right?
on Tuesday.
It's a professional development day.
Okay.
We could move it if you wanted. I could do the 20th, the following Tuesday, if that's better.
That's free for me right now, too.
You want to do the 20th?
20th is fine.
Does that sound better?
Yes.
Are you good for the 20th?
Just checking, sorry. Yes.
So 20 October. That's done. All right, I think that's it. Anybody else have anything else? We are done.
Nice.